Welcome to ITTV. This is Teacher Cesar, your fabulous co-teacher. Today, our topic is on preparing for lessons through daily lesson log or DLL. The policy guidelines on daily lesson preparation for the K-12 basic education program affirm the role of the K-12 teacher as a facilitator of learning, preparing for lessons through the daily lesson log, and provides teachers with an opportunity for reflection on what learners need to learn, how learners learn, and how best to facilitate the learning process. Let's start with the objectives. This part of the DLL includes objectives related to content knowledge and competencies. The lesson objectives describe the behavior or performance teachers want learners to exhibit in order to consider them competent. The objectives state what the teacher intends to teach and serve as a guide for instruction and assessment. The content standards refer to the learning area-based facts, concepts, and procedures that students need to learn, while the competencies pertain to the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that students need to demonstrate in a lesson. The competency codes are also logged in this part of the DLL. Next is content. The topic or subject matter pertains to the particular content that the lesson focuses on. Let's also have learning resources. This part of the DLL asks teachers to log the references and other learning resources that the teacher will use for the lesson. The references include the particular pages of the TG, LM, textbook, and the additional materials from the LRMDS portal. The other learning resources refer to materials such as those that are teacher-made, authentic, and others not included in the references. This part of the DLL can also include the supplies, equipment, tools, and other non-print materials needed for activities before, during, and after the lesson. This time, let's have the procedures. Flexibility is allowed in the delivery of the DLL procedures. Teachers do not need to go through all 10 parts in every lesson. Teachers need to ensure that the procedures of the lesson lead to the achievement of the stated objectives. The formative assessment methods to be used by the teacher should determine if the objectives of the lesson are being met. These 10 parts should be done across the week. Let's have letter A, reviewing previous lessons or presenting the new lesson. This part connects the lesson with learners' prior knowledge. It explicitly teaches the learners how the new lesson connects to previous lesson. It also reviews and presents new lessons in a systematic manner. Letter B, establishing a purpose for the lesson. This will motivate the learner to learn the new lesson. It encourages them to ask questions about the new topic and helps establish a reason for learning the new lesson. For the letter C, presenting examples or instances of the new lesson. This shows instances of the content and competencies. This is also where the concepts are clarified. Letter D, discussing new concepts leads to the first formative assessment. Teachers shall prepare good questions for this part. The teacher will listen to the answers of learners to gauge if they understood the lesson. If not, then they reteach. If the learners have understood the lesson, the teacher shall proceed to deepening the lesson. Letter E, continuation of the discussion of new concepts, leading to the second formative assessment that deepens the lesson and shows learners new ways of applying learning. The teacher can use pair, group, and teamwork to help learners discuss the lesson among themselves. The learners can present their work to the class, and this serves as the teacher's way of assessing if the concepts are solidifying and if their skills are developing. Letter F, developing mastery, which leads to the third formative assessment, can be done through more individual work activities such as writing, creative ways of representing learning, dramatizing, etc. The teacher shall ask learners to demonstrate their learning through accessible activities such as quizzes, worksheets, seat work, and games. When the students demonstrate learning, then proceed to the next step. The teacher can add activities as needed until formative assessment shows that the learners are confident in their knowledge and competencies. Letter G. Finding practical applications of concepts and skills in daily living which can develop appreciation and valuing for students' learning by bridging the lesson to daily living. This will also establish relevance in the lesson. Letter H. Making generalizations and abstractions about the lesson will conclude the lesson by asking learners good questions that will help them crystallize their learning so they can declare knowledge and demonstrate their skills. Letter I, evaluating learning, is a way of assessing the learners and whether the learning objectives have been met. Evaluation should tap into the three types of objectives. For the last part, which is letter J, additional activities for application or remediation. This will be based on the formative assessments and will provide children with enrichment or remedial activities. The teacher should provide extra time for additional teaching activities to those learners demonstrating that they have difficulties with the lesson. For the remarks, this is a part of the DLL in which teachers shall indicate special cases, including but not limited to continuation of lesson plan to the following day in case of reteaching or lack of time, transfer of lesson to the following day in cases of class suspension. Reflection. This part of the DLL requires teachers to reflect on and assess their effectiveness. In this part of the DLL, the teacher should make notes on the number of learners who earned 80% in the evaluation, the number of learners who require additional activities for remediation, and those who continue to require remediation, the effectiveness of the remedial lesson, the teaching strategies or methods that worked well and why, and the difficulties teachers encountered that the principal or supervisor can help solve. It's question time, teacher. Please write your questions on the question sheet provided to you. I will answer them during the focus group discussion. Thank you so much for listening and participating. God bless.